Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Joanne. In today's video I'm going to be taking you through 8 of my favourite kitchen organisation ideas. These are things that I have been using for years and I love them, and it's really helped to utilise the space best in my kitchen and also significantly improve its functionality. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I make cleaning and organisation videos, so if you are interested in those things, I'd love to have you join by subscribing down below. And let's get into it. Tip number 1 is shelving. So you can never have too much shelving, and I think that if you can either make your own shelving, like a physical shelf, or use tiered dividers to create a shelf within a really tall kind of space, then that's going to best utilize your space. So the way I use that is in my pantry to make double layers within a shelf where I have 2 sort of narrower, skinnier, or 2 shorter sort of containers that I want to be able to fit in, and by using the tiered shelving I can stack it one on top of the other. I often take 2 and put them together to make a faux shelf. The other thing I have done is actually make new shelves out of the material that's already been used for shelving in my cupboards, and there are holes along the side where I can put in new little pegs and be able to create an entirely new shelf. So I've done that in a couple of my cupboards as well. Tip number 2 is using pot lid holders, and I have these scattered all around my kitchen. They are so functional. I've especially found them really useful in my corner cupboard, which is a really tricky one to organize because right at the corner it goes deep into the back of the shelf, and it's not really usable or functional space, and I don't have any kind of lazy Susan in there. I have tried that in the past and it didn't really work for what I need to store in there. So as you can see, I've actually used this pot lid holder at an angle, and I've put all my cooling racks, chopping boards, baking trays, and that type of thing. And so I'm getting use of that space at the back that would otherwise not be utilized, and I can still really easily grab those items out, put them back in, and they stay nice and separated so I can easily grab them when I need it. I've also used it for all my frying pans, so that's been really handy to, again, just be able to grab one out and put it back in, as opposed to having them stacked one on top of the other and having to move other ones off to be able to grab the one I need. I also use it to store all the lids of my pots. So I didn't have space to do this horizontally, so what I did is utilized it vertically, and I was able to use that depth of my cupboard, which would have otherwise not been used. And because I don't use the lids to my pots that often, it's really not too difficult to grab them out, so it's nice to have it like that. Tip number 3 is to use turntables wherever you can. So as I mentioned, you can use it if you have a corner cupboard. It didn't quite work for me with what I needed to store in there. You can also buy inserts from like IKEA or Bunnings, and you can install them into your cupboard, and they're like a 3/4 turntable, 2-tiered, and that way you can store things at the back and be able to turn it around and grab what you need. The way I like to use it is in slightly higher or hard to reach places, or even low down as well, when you don't want to be sort of trying to dig into the back. So I use it to store my oils that I use when I'm cooking, which is in a slightly higher cupboard next to my stove. And I use it to store my everyday cleaning products that I keep under my sink, and that's again really easy, just to be able to turn that and grab the cleaner I need. Tip number 4 is to use storage bins. So you've probably heard this one before, but it's really great to be able to corral everything into one area. So in my pantry, I've got containers for meal prep, for snacks, for nuts and seeds and dried fruit, for my cans, back stock, oils and sauces, baking. I've got it for everything, and it's really great just to categorize everything, but also have it so that you can easily just pull that out like a drawer. You can bring it down and pull out whatever you need and put it back in nice and easily, as opposed to pulling things out one by one that are just stacked on a shelf. So it makes it so much easier. And it's also great to buy stackable bins as well. So again, if you've got a cupboard that you've got a lot of height to, you can stack them one on top of the other and use them a bit like a drawer. Tip number 5 is putting hooks inside your cupboard. Now for me, I have this in only one of my cupboards, the one under my sink, and I use that to store my microfiber cleaning towel when I'm using it. I don't like to have it out on display or have it, hanging over my counter or attached to one of the door handles. So I put that within there, and it's just really easy to grab as opposed to trying to have it folded up. And that way, after I give it a wash out each night, I can hang it up there and it'll dry as opposed to scrunching it up and popping it in a cupboard. You can also use hooks in your cupboards to store various utensils. I've seen people use that to hang their everyday use, like wooden spoons, their pots and pans, those types of things. So you can always have over the door storage that has hooks attached to it and hang a number of things on there. That leads me into tip number 6, which is utilizing your door space. And again, I haven't done this too much, but I have plans for wanting to try and utilize the door space of my cupboards a bit more. So some things you could do is, as I mentioned, the hook on the door to store your cleaning towels. And another one would be installing a paper towel roll holder. So you can buy ones that have the sticky back on them, and you can attach them to your door, and that way again you're not having to use up valuable shelf space. You can have that on the door and it's easily accessible. Another thing that's a great idea is using these pot lid holders. Now I haven't got them myself, but I would really like to. And again, this is another way to free up some cupboard space and be able to store those quite cumbersome large pot lids on the door. And so it makes it really easy to grab and you're freeing up space. My 7th tip is to store things like drink bottles and cups that aren't necessarily your everyday use cup, or milkshake mugs, that type of thing. So I love to use bottle holders, and I got this idea from Steph Page from just another mummy blog, and I think that was such a great idea. So I just use these they're stackable wine holders, and I got them from Kmart. And I find that's really great to store like my takeaway coffee mug, protein shaker bottles, milkshake mugs, other plastic mugs and that type of thing. And again, it just makes it really easy to grab because it's in a cupboard that's on the top level and on the top shelf. So that means that it's very hard to grab. I can't reach the back of that cupboard unless I have a ladder. So by putting these in, I'm using that depth of the cupboard, and I can still easily grab what I need. And tip number 8 for kitchen organization ideas is just to label everything. And it's not about having matching containers and having everything look perfect, but if you label it, it brings some cohesiveness to your entire kitchen, and it just makes it so much more functional and easy to use. So if you take on board some of the other tips I've said about grouping things together, using storage containers as drawers, corralling all the items together, you can very easily label it then, and it just makes life so much easier to be able to see everything neatly laid out and know that, yeah, I can easily go grab whatever I need because it's clearly labeled. So those are my 8 tips for having a more organized kitchen. I really hope this helps you and you're able to utilize some of these tips in the way that's going to suit you best to make your kitchen more functional and make the most of your space. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And as I said, I do lots of cleaning and organization videos. So if you're interested in that, please be sure to subscribe. You can hit the button down below. And if you're interested in more organization videos, I will link you to a playlist where I've organized my pantry, bathroom and laundry room. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and watch those. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.